Welcome back to Boilers and Beyond. I'm Jordan Jones. Purdue clinched a share of its 26th Big Ten title with an 80-74 victory over Michigan State on Saturday night. The Boilers now sit at 26-3 as we head into the final week of the regular season. Yes, it's the month of March. It is here. The year has felt like it's gone quick in some ways. It's felt like it's taken forever in others. But we are officially into the final week of the regular season. Purdue has a couple of big ones, so there's plenty to talk about here today. If you don't already, follow the show on Twitter, @BoilersBeyond. Lots to talk about there, and you can always send in questions for the show. They're on Twitter. Tweet them to me, DM them to me, or you can email the show, boilersandbeyondpod@gmail.com. And be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You're not going to want to miss a thing this month. And if you subscribe, you won't miss a thing. So be sure to do that on your favorite podcast platform. But Purdue wins this thing 80-74 over Michigan State. Saturday night game inside Mackey Arena to officially clinch a share of the program's 26th Big Ten title. You know, to a certain degree, it felt like a formality, Purdue winning it, Purdue getting the trophy and, you know, the confetti coming down, because that's kind of always where this has been heading. Pretty early on in the season, I think it was apparent that Purdue is the best team in the league, and that unless Purdue really fell apart, Purdue would be doing this. Had it not won the league, this would have felt like a really big disappointment. You know, it's one of those seasons like this can be a little tricky where the expectations are high, because it's not like this is some, you know, gigantic celebratory nature type of deal. It's absolutely worth celebrating. You want to win it. You know, I look back to 2 years ago when Purdue didn't win the Big Ten, and that was really disappointing. That was a team that should have won the Big Ten, but it ultimately didn't. And it had no one to blame but itself. But you don't want to miss these opportunities, because there's going to be a time where you go through a bit of a drought. Like Purdue goes through the 13-year drought, I think it was, between the three-peat and the 2009 title. Don't quote me on that. Sounds right. But you want to enjoy it while you got it. And Purdue gets another Big Ten title. It's not the be-all, end-all, but it's worth celebrating. When you look at this big picture, though, because you can look at this year's Big Ten and say it's not great, and you'd be right. We've talked about on this podcast a lot about how the Big Ten this year is not great, and how a lot of the Big Ten's top brands are not operating at a particularly high level right now, because they're not. You know, I'm recording this. It's halftime of the Indiana-Maryland game. There's a great example. And then I think Michigan and Ohio State play later. Yet another one. That's just kind of how life is in the Big Ten right now. It's neither here nor there, but it's just the case. And Purdue's capitalizing. You know, Purdue's won 4 of the last 8 of these things. And in that, you know, in the 4 years they didn't win, they had 2 where they finish a game back. You know, 2018, Purdue goes 15-3 in Big Ten play. A slip up at Wisconsin ultimately costs it a share of the league title. And in 2022, you know, Purdue should have absolutely won a share, but Purdue finishes with 6 Big Ten losses. You know, a loss on a half quarter at Rutgers. Johnny Davis goes ballistic on you in Mackey. Rob Finney, Tyson Walker hits a game winner on you. Just a lot of things kind of piled up for that team. But outside of that, you know, Purdue has established itself over that stretch as the top dog in the Big Ten. Because, you know, since Cassius Winston left, Michigan State hasn't been the same. And then who else? Who else do you even look at? I don't know. Purdue certainly has that monkey to get off its back in the NCAA tournament, and As I said all along, there's nothing Purdue could do this season to speed up the calendar. That's going to come here in a couple of weeks. We're 2 weeks out from Selection Sunday. But outside of that, man, Purdue's done a lot of really good things. And, as you look at Purdue just stacking Big Ten championship after Big Ten championship, it's really reflected because Purdue's built something really strong. Purdue's built something really sustainable. And it's just interesting, to think about how big of a deal it felt like when Purdue won the Big Ten back in 2017, when they'd gone, 7 years or so without winning a Big Ten title. For Purdue to then, get back and win one felt like such a big deal. At this point, it's becoming kind of ho-hum. And that's a really good thing, but it's also, something you got to sit and enjoy. On this game itself, we're reaching that time of year where it's just kind of hard to say a whole lot new, isn't it? I mean, another remarkable Zach Edey performance. I could say that pretty much after every single game, but he goes for 32 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. Let's see, did he turn the ball over? 1 turnover, a couple of blocks, just a monster performance. Michigan State doesn't have anyone who can guard him. Now, not really, most teams don't. Like you can see like a great defender like Cliff Amore still not guard him all that well, but Michigan State doesn't have a prayer. I'm not sure I understand why they just play him one-on-one all the time, but I don't know that there's a great way to do it because you open yourself up to get torched from 3. And Purdue tends to do that in Mackey Arena some. Watching Michigan State, though, roll out Mady Sissoko, Carson Cooper, Jackson Kohler, and Xavier Booker all to go out there and just rack up fouls, basically. Just be someone that can rack up fouls. That was something that Michigan State doesn't often look like it just doesn't have an answer, but that's absolutely what it's looked like against Zach Edey for the last couple of years because he was unbelievable against him last year. He was great against him last night, and he's closing in now where it's pretty likely that he's going to be Purdue's all-time leading scorer. Especially if Purdue, wins a couple of games in the Big Ten tournament, if Purdue gets to the Sunday of that, I mean, it's conceivable he has the thing wrapped up before the NCAA tournament tips off. He's a couple weeks away from earning more National Player of the Year honors. He's a couple weeks away from winning Big Ten Player of the Year. He will be first-team All-American, first-team All-Big Ten. Unbelievable, man. It is unbelievable what he has accomplished at Purdue. Edey at times can overshadow Braden Smith a little bit, I think. Braden Smith is phenomenally good. I almost jokingly talked about it at the time when he got left off the Bob Cousy Award watch list as, like maybe it's a good thing because that stuff fires him up so much. But, 23 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, plays all 40 minutes for Purdue. Unbelievable performance from him. And this is what he's done night in, night out all year. It's not always points, and it's not always the assists, but it's always one of the two. And he rebounds as well as you'll ever see for a guard that may or may not be 6 feet tall. He's been unbelievable. 4 for 4 from 3, 8 for 11 from the field. Just a great performance for him. Again, I don't know if he'll get enough love when it comes to voting for teams and for awards and stuff, because Zach Edey is going to get a lot of the attention from Purdue. But Braden Smith, in my mind, should be an All-Big Ten guy. First team All-Big Ten. Some of those third, fourth team All-Americans, I don't think it would be crazy to throw him in that conversation. He has been that good for Purdue this year. He's just been remarkable. It was good to see Fletcher Lawyer have a big game. He he'd had a bit of a slump. It was well documented, a lot of talk about it. 15 points, 5 of 9 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3. Look, I never thought it was some 5-alarm fire for him. I thought he was fine. The biggest thing with him is he just takes good shots. He does not force much. Now, he had one heat check type 3 in the first half, I believe it was, that was a little absurd. But outside of that, he doesn't take many bad shots. He's been pretty good about his shot selection. I think Lance Jones helps him there because he doesn't have to do as much shot creation. But it was good for him to get that going because he is pretty good. He's a good shooter. And, when you look at these games, when teams make decisions on how they guard Purdue, he's someone you can't leave. Because if you do, he does stuff like that. Michigan State, a team he's played well against, to say the least. I guess just really, there's not a ton more to say. But as we do this, as we enter March here, it's March 3rd, over the next month, there are going to be teams that go on runs or end their season early. Just when you're looking ahead to what next year is going to bring, think about this year's Michigan State team as a prime example. Because when a team shows you what they are in the regular season and in their conference tournament, and then looks like something else in the NCAA tournament, which sample size is the better one to judge off of? Because Michigan State didn't do anything in the Big Ten last year. It finished, I think, 5th, right? 4th or 5th, maybe 4th. Loses to Ohio State, who is like the 13 seed. Limps into the tournament with a less than impressive record. And then gets to the Sweet 16 and plays really well there. But outside of that, you saw exactly what Michigan State was when it goes to the tournament, 19-12 and 11-8 in the Big Ten. Just remember that, because there are going to be teams just like Michigan State who bring a lot back from a team that makes a little run, and maybe like Michigan State, you bring in a couple of freshmen that they like. This has not been what Michigan State was supposed to be. And kind of on the flip side, a lot of the skepticism of Purdue, because of how it lost in the NCAA tournament and because it's happened that way a couple years in a row now, well, Purdue's 26-3. Purdue is really consistent. When Purdue doesn't turn the ball over, Purdue is really, really good and really difficult to beat. If you need an area of concern coming out of these games, or I guess this game, just a one-game week, 17 second chance points for Michigan State on 11 offensive rebounds. Both of those numbers are pretty high. Purdue could stand to be better at closing out possessions on the defensive end with a rebound. And 20 for 30 at the foul line for Purdue is not abysmal, but it's not great either. Zach Edey shoots 20 of those, but odd misses. Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, Lance Jones, Mason Gillis, they all missed a free throw last night. It's the little things. It doesn't, I don't think it is going to really, come and kill Purdue, but that little stuff adds up. And when you're in a tournament that's very, I don't want to say fluky, but you got to get pretty deep into the margins to, the difference between a long run and a short run sometimes. Every little thing matters, and Purdue could clean that up a bit. But look, just 1 week to go here in the regular season. It's the month of March. Purdue has a huge game Tuesday. One that before the season you probably could have circled as a game that could easily decide the Big Ten. This game on Saturday that Purdue played was one, but Purdue goes to Illinois. The Illini are very up and down. You don't really know what you're getting from them every time out, but Illinois is a solid team. Illinois is 12th at KenPom. Illinois has not played great defense lately, which has been an interesting trend. They're over. Oh my goodness, they're outside of the top 100 as of right now in defensive efficiency on KenPom. So you might see a pretty high scoring game. They just gave up 83 points to Wisconsin, 97 points to to Minnesota, 90 to Penn State, 80 to Maryland. It's an Illinois team that's not great defensively, but that is going to be a rowdy atmosphere that Purdue walks into, because they still have a shot at splitting the conference if Purdue loses both its games next week, and that group of fans does not like Purdue. They don't like Purdue at all. Purdue's had some success in recent years. I think, the last 3 years, Purdue has not lost to Illinois. So, that much really looms out as important. This is Purdue's probably most losable game, I almost want to say, of all year, just because of what that atmosphere is going to be like. Obviously, Illinois did not have Terrence Shannon the first time that Purdue and Illinois met. That makes a giant difference. He's really good. That helps Illinois a ton, but we'll see. I don't know what to expect from that game, but if you're Purdue, I think you're pretty happy that you have the share of the Big Ten locked up already. And then you close with Wisconsin. That's a Sunday game. That's senior day. Wisconsin has completely fallen off a cliff since Purdue played that game up there a few weeks back, and it was a top 5 game, or top 6 game, I guess. But they play Thursday against Rutgers, but Wisconsin got up to number 6 nationally, and ever since then, they've lost, what is this here, 7 of their last 9 games. They're not playing particularly well. It would take a lot to see them coming into Mackey and giving Purdue a win. It's handing Purdue a loss, I should say. It's going to be quite the day. Obviously, it's a senior class with Zach Edey that has meant a lot to Purdue basketball. It's been, one of the most successful groups ever to come through Purdue. I saw in the Boiler Ball account, Foreman tweeted out some of the stats that this class has accomplished, like 55-4 at home, I think. It's impressive. It really is. The resale tickets are through the roof. Zach Edey's final time will be really cool. Ethan Morton, Mason Gillis, a couple of glue guys. Mason Gillis has been phenomenal for Purdue this year. Probably should have mentioned him earlier. He hits that 3 late to kind of seal the deal. Really, really good player. He's been everything Purdue could have hoped for. He's had a nice career at Purdue, albeit, maybe a little different one than I expected. But it's been a good class. Some senior days are more of a tearjerker than others. I think that's going to be how it is. It'll be good for Purdue to send him out, hopefully on a high note, because the guy's been unreal. Lance Jones has his senior day as well. So, I don't know whether I think Purdue's going to win both these or not. That Illinois games are going to be really tough. But, if you're Purdue now, you're feeling like you're in a great, great spot. You got 2 games left. You are 26-3. You're all but locked into a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Things would really have to fall off the cliff for Purdue to not be a 1 seed. I don't know if I see that happening. And then you go from there. Purdue can kind of just slow roll it from here, and you see where it goes in the NCAA tournament. But Purdue's in a great spot. It's responded really well from that Ohio State loss. There's just not a ton to say. There really isn't. I don't have a ton of thoughts because this team has been really consistent night in, night out. This team has done everything you could have hoped for. And, now you've got the Big Ten championship blocked up. You want to get it out right now. And then, you go to Minneapolis for the Big Ten tournament. You'll probably be the 1 seed there. See what that does. And then it's the NCAA tournament time. And, the truth comes out at that point. So it's going to be fascinating. It's going to be a wild month. There's going to be a lot of emotions flying all across the place, but that's March. That's what it is in the sport. So that's all I have for today. Thank you for spending your time with me. We'll be back next week, and we'll do a bigger mailbag with the Big Ten, the regular season winding down, Big Ten tournament time. We'll do a bigger mailbag type deal. We'll get some questions in, and we'll go from there. But I appreciate you guys. Be sure to follow on Twitter, @BoilersBeyond. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And until next week, enjoy a couple of these games.